Hey everyone, I found a new mechanical glitch in Smash Wii U called RCO Air Speed. Here you'll see a killing tweak. It's something I found which affects at least 25 characters in the game. What is it? I'll ease you in with my own personal experience with the glitch. Before I even knew anything about RCO Air Speed, I wondered why I would scrooge while going one way, but then I'd die trying to go back. After SDing, I'd try again, it would work, and I figured it was my fault. Some more intuitive players, like Mace and Dragon Brain, started to air dodge when they traveled edge to edge beneath the stage, and it really did help them. Why is that? What's going on? Well, that SD wasn't my fault, because it's a glitch caused by almost half of the out specials in the game, and well, it affects a lot more than Scrooging, although I wish it didn't. RCO Air Speed is a glitch that makes your character travel at the lower speed that he normally does after he uses his up special, or in one case, down special. It happens whenever the special move is interrupted, including whenever it's interrupted by just grabbing the ledge. Although, I need to note that RCO Air Speed is not triggered by being interrupted by landing on the stage or a platform. A very short and simple way to see RCO Air Speed for yourself is to just go on the ledge, then drift away until you die. Notice the angle of the KO blast graphic is usually diagonal, but if you do it again, instead after a recovery special move, you may see a vertical blast graphic. If so, your character gets RCO Air Speed. But so that you don't need to do that, here's every character that experiences RCO Air Speed. The only characters that do not have RCO Air Speed are the ones who have no difference in their airspeed after they use their recovery special. Now, does this list look familiar at all? All these characters are also the ones who experience RCO landing leg. The only difference is Mega Man, who does not have RCO Airspeed. The two phenomenons, RCO Airspeed and RCO leg, are connected, but more on that later. The glitch is even more interesting. You might hope that getting up from the ledge and standing on ground might get rid of RCO Airspeed, but it does not. If you are one of those 25 characters, every time you use your special move to grab the ledge, you are carrying RCO Airspeed. It happens all the time. Don't worry though, there are both permanent methods to remove RCO Airspeed and temporary ones. But it's a wonder nobody has noticed it before, right? Well, no, there's a couple reasons why nobody would have noticed it. The first reason is that RCO Airspeed can only be experienced while you are not in any form of animation. Movements that your character makes while you jump, attack, air dodge will prevent RCO Airspeed from happening. It's only when you enter into your plain, falling state that you have RCO Airspeed happen to you. The other reason why it's hard to notice is that if you're traveling at your maximum airspeed already, it takes time for your speed to lower down to the RCO Airspeed. This does not mean that RCO Airspeed will have no effect when you have already been traveling at max speed, as will be demonstrated, but these factors help to make RCO Airspeed less of a bad thing. Here's a demonstration of these factors. This is a tracking software that I have been using for Smash Bros. Physics work by tracking the motion of the triangle above characters' heads. We're using vectors/arrows to represent his motion. You can see they get pretty flat like a line due to a constant, regular airspeed. But then Mario starts to slow down due to RCO Airspeed, and this flat line is lost. But you can see that he doesn't actually start to slow down for a while. Also, you can see that all the arrows are connected to a point. That's the point Mario would have passed if not for RCO Airspeed. Real quick, this shows the motion Mario took over the whole course, and the flat line shows where he would have gone if his speed stayed constant. And this is the path Mario actually took. With these points understood, it's easy to see why an air dodge helps with Scrooging. It's a short animation that will temporarily remove your RCO Airspeed until the animation is fully played out. It lasts long enough so that you do not experience the effects of RCO Airspeed as you go under the stage. This is also why Shulk and 𝐓𝐢𝐦𝐿 can survive being grab released off stage without a double jump, only if they use an air dodge. Anytime RCO Airspeed needs to be temporarily gotten rid of, air dodging is a pretty good option. Going back to how Tweak was killed with RCO Airspeed, if we recreate the moment, we can see that he could have survived had he air dodged. Air dodging is often the quickest action to use for the purpose of a temporary RCO Airspeed interrupt, but some characters do have moves with shorter first active frames. What other situations can RCO Airspeed be harmful? Well, if you have lost your double jump, or are a character who has a hard time recovering even with a double jump, like Dr. Mario, RCO Airspeed can lower your death percents unless you remove it. In both of these clips, the Dr. Mario is at the same percent, being hit with the same move on the same stage. The only difference is in the first, he does not have RCO Airspeed, and in the second, he does. Here are also a couple of clips from 𝐓𝐬𝐻𝐬𝐿, a notable Shulk main. In the first clip, he died due to it during friendlies, but in the second clip, it was an actual game and bracket. In both cases, 𝐓𝐬𝐻𝐬𝐿 has already gotten back onto stage and done a fair number of actions before RCO Airspeed took effect later in the match. RCO Airspeed could also potentially affect detaching from the ledge to aerial an opponent, or you could just simply be on stage, wanting to accelerate or reverse direction while in your plain falling state. We've already seen several instances of RCO Airspeed in effect. Considering the glitch affects almost half the cast and has gone unnoticed for so long, who knows how much of an effect this has been having without anyone knowing. Additionally, another interesting fact is that this glitch was also prevalent in Brawl, but never was brought into public attention. It ties in a lot with RCO lag, which was also in Brawl. All that's left in this video are the root of the cause of this glitch and how to permanently remove it. It's no coincidence that almost every character who experiences RCO lag also experiences RCO Airspeed. In Smash 4, RCO lag is only triggered when you are hit out of your special move or freefall state. But in Brawl, it actually happened anytime you grabbed the edge with it. When Smash 4 came around, they fixed the RCO lag portion from being triggered by grabbing the edge, but RCO Airspeed was never touched, and remains in the game exactly how it did in Brawl. As one would expect, RCO Airspeed in Smash 4 can also be triggered by being hit out of your up special, but this is less common than grabbing the ledge from it. What does every character who experiences RCO Airspeed have in common? It's that their freefall has a different max airspeed than their regular falling state. Any character who has this difference is susceptible to RCO Airspeed. Moreover, since almost every character who has RCO lag also has RCO Airspeed, it might be the case that this difference in airspeed is also what's causing RCO lag, but this is mere speculation. And finally, now that you know what RCO Airspeed is, when it may harm you, how to temporarily get rid of it, and why it happens in the first place, all that's left is how to permanently get rid of it. Dying does work, but this is not necessary. The properties surrounding how to get rid of RCO Airspeed permanently were actually very mysterious to me until an observation made by Shulk Discord member Chosen. So shoutouts to him for helping with that. To get rid of RCO Airspeed, you must first experience RCO Airspeed and then land. So this means you must find a way to get into your neutral falling animation and then land on the ground or a platform. Grabbing the ledge also works the same as landing. After you land, RCO Airspeed will be gone forever, or at least until your recovery special move gets interrupted again. Doing this can be difficult or very easy depending on the character and the situation. If you continuously fail to end up in your neutral falling state before you land, you could have RCO Airspeed latent for a really long time, since RCO Airspeed never goes away with just time. Here are some examples. When Mario short hops, his arm goes up and his leg bends, and it continues to do so until he lands. So the neutral falling animation, which looks like this, is never achieved. However, if he short hops and instead immediately uses an up air, the neutral falling animation will be achieved before landing, and RCO Airspeed is removed. For Shulk, using any aerial attack on full hop will keep him in an animation until he lands. However, if he uses no aerial or an early air dodge, he will get to that neutral animation. Something that works for every character is detaching from the ledge. They are all instantly put into the neutral fall state, and when you land, RCO Airspeed will be permanently removed. Anyways, with that, that's pretty much all there is to know about RCO Airspeed. I recommend working together with your communities to figure out the best methods for permanently removing RCO Airspeed. Keep in mind that in a pinch, using air dodges or aerials can put you in an animation to temporarily remove your RCO Airspeed. If you are not one of the 25 characters who experience RCO Airspeed, you may be able to still use it against your opponent, like how Mr. R did against Tweak. Even if your opponent does know they can temporarily remove it, while air dodging to remove RCO Airspeed is handy, it's also a commitment. No matter how you're planning to use this information, you may want to share this with your friends so they know about it too. And if you like our content, please subscribe. It really means a lot to us, and there's still a lot of good videos on the way.